as part of our counterintelligence mission, is investigating the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election.
But I pledge to each of you and to the American people that if I am confirmed, I will do all my powers permit to be a faithful servant of the Constitution and laws of this great nation.
That is Neil Gorsuch's confirmation hearing, and James Comey, director of the FBI. It was a day that you haven't seen very often in Washington when the Supreme Court justice nomination is secondary news. Trey Hardin, ABC News political analyst. Pretty interesting day for you in Washington, D.C.
Phenomenal. You know, as you said, we keep using the word unprecedented. We keep using the word unique, new things that pop up as it relates to what goes on in Washington these days, especially with the with Donald Trump in the White House. And I think what we saw yesterday is, I think, what a lot of Republicans were very worried about, anxious about, as it relates to Comey and the FBI's investigation, and what a lot of them felt was that or believe is that a big shoe is going to be dropping as it relates to the Trump administration, or the circle of people in the Trump administration's really illegal relationships with Russia.
So a lot of people, play left, right, Democrats, Republicans. Democrats have virtually no power in Washington, D.C. So I like to watch what the Republicans are saying. And this Devin Nunes, Republican of California, who was the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, was quoted as saying after the hearings yesterday that a gray cloud of suspicion has now hung over the White House. That's a pretty interesting phrase.
Oh, and I've spoken to folks in Congressman Nunes' office afterwards too, and off the record, and he was being political and kind of light by using the word gray cloud. He believes, and many others do, that it's even darker, that this is going to lead to some people that have worked for President Trump, or may still work for President Trump, or may still be having very significant influence with President Trump, likely going to jail. And it is now, it's not even borderline on the concerns of espionage, and it's almost unintended espionage in terms of the just unprecedented relationships and conversations that have happened between many people in the administration and the relationships they have with Russia. And it's just basically giving one, you're not giving any ability to Republicans to defend him or defend what's going on anymore, and you're giving the Democrats a lot of momentum to look into this further, a lot of media the momentum to look into this further. And then as it relates to health care and Neil Gorsuch's issues and things like that, you're giving an issue for the Democrats to rally and unite behind that they didn't necessarily have before.
So it's pretty convoluted, but I want to make sure, I want to see what you think on this. There are many people, Trey, who are saying, because yesterday Comey went to the House to testify on the wiretapping because Trump tweeted out that a former president illegally wiretapped him. And so he went there to talk about that, but then these other conversations came in. So the question is, if Donald Trump doesn't tweet 3 weekends ago in the middle of the morning about President Obama wiretapping him, is James Comey testifying yesterday in front of Congress about a special FBI investigation with links to Russia?
Nope, not publicly. It's a very good point, a very good question. He absolutely is. First of all, it is. I worked for someone that was on the House Intelligence Committee. It is rare, very rare, that the House or Senate Intelligence Committee ever holds a hearing that's not in the skiff, which means in a back room that is secured, where no cell phones are allowed, certainly no media allowed, because they are talking about highly classified information. So for them to hold a public hearing, with public testimony, is a rarity. They only would do something like that because of the gravity of a claim or issue that was brought on by this president about another president, essentially President Trump, saying that President Obama broke the law at a very high level. And so you're exactly right. That doesn't happen if he doesn't make that tweet. So he brought it on himself, for sure. And then not only that, but he was proven that he did indeed lie about it yesterday, essentially with James Comey and the NSA head basically saying that there's no truth to what he tweeted about 3 weeks ago.
Trey, how hard does this situation make it for Donald Trump and Paul Ryan and everybody else to twist the arms they need to get this Obamacare legislation through the House or the Senate?
Nearly impossible, and that is a very good and important question here, and it's really what this comes down to in terms of what Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and other Republicans on the Hill are trying to do. It completely, they are beyond frustrated. They've certainly been frustrated because of how things have been handled over the first 60 days coming from the administration. But if you're someone like Paul Ryan, it essentially makes it almost impossible for him to go to even members in his own party to say, no, listen, come on, we've got the backing of the White House. This is what he wants. We can do this. It certainly has taken the opportunity to get any Democrats on board away, because they have an easy out now. They have a unifying battle cry that they didn't have before, that basically they can say, listen, this president has no credibility, and he's now under investigation. He has lied. So let's take a step back and look at that first, and how can we can easily justify to our constituents that we're not going to support this or that legislation. Now, to many voters that voted for Donald Trump, all of this stuff is not going to matter. So in some districts or some states, it may still be Donald Trump is king, but there are quite a few voters on the margins that even voted for Donald Trump that I think you're going to start seeing in polls that are going to have trouble defending this president.
Trey Hardin, ABC News political analyst, and never a dull week around here. Thanks for checking in.
You got it. Take care, guys.
629, Big 550, KTR.